Wow. Check the head on that. Dorothy's beer. A new world lager beer. That reminds me of a story. Did I ever tell you about the story of Dorothy, the root beer lady? Well, when I lived in Virginia, Minnesota, they had a lady who was living in the Boundary Waters. She had been a nurse for a gentleman out of Chicago, and he owned property in the WBCA, and she enjoyed it up there so much that when he died, he willed her that property. And she made root beer during the summer, and then cut ice out of the lake in the winter and kept the root beer cold enough in the summertime with these blocks of ice that fishermen could come by and purchase root beer from Dorothy. And you can still buy Dorothy's root beer. But she lived there until she died. I think she was maybe in her early 90s. And she didn't have any modern facilities such as electricity or plumbing. But one day they checked on her and found her dead. And once the understanding was that she could live there until she died. And when she was dead, then it would revert back into a national park. And so they removed her cabins, and they're now located in Ely, Minnesota. But when I was teaching at the junior college in Virginia, a friend of mine and we would go out to the islands and fish. And one day, just after the ice went out, in fact there was still snow and patches of ice along the portages. I think there were 5 portages that we had from where we went in at Ely to Dorothy's location, and it took about, probably 5 or more hours to get back in there. But we had a nice little cabin that we stayed in, and one morning I woke up to the sound of Jim, my buddy that we went fishing together with, yelling at me to get my camera, get my camera. Okay. I jumped out of bed and I ran into the kitchen. Here's a big old black bear just staring in the window because Jim had put some bacon on the stove, and it was frying. I suppose that smelled really good to that black bear. Well, once the bear saw the commotion in the kitchen, the bear kind of sauntered over on this man-made bridge over to another island. Well, Dorothy had 3 islands in this complex, and she had little bridges connecting them. Well, I went over to the island that Dorothy was staying on, and I told her about the bear, and she got real excited. And she had 3 nephews that were camping on that island that the bear went onto, and she was concerned for their safety. So she grabbed this 30-30 rifle off the wall. It was a lever action, and she got excited about wanting to shoot the bear. Well, she went to change her clothes, and I was talking to her sister Helen, who was from Chicago, and those were her children that were over on the other island. And I said, Dorothy, I said to Helen, I said, do you happen to know how many shells this gun holds? She says, I'm not really sure, but I think Dorothy usually puts 1 in there. And so I thought, I need more than 1 shell. So I was sticking shells in the chamber until I couldn't get any more in there. And I said, Dorothy, would you like me to shoot the bear for you? She said, sure. And so we went over the bridge to the island that Jim and I were staying on, and Jim joined us. He had my camera. I'm the artist, he's the hunter, and we never thought to switch. We walked over onto the big island where the nephews were, and we decided to go down along the shoreline, thinking that we might be able to see the bear down there. And Dorothy and Helen went over to check on the boys on the other side of the island. Well, it wasn't soon after we got on the island, that Jim said, "Oh, over here," is kind of pointing like over here. So there's a thicket in front of me, and I kind of went around the side of the thicket, and sure enough, here's the bear down closer to the water. And I don't know if it was me pulling the hammer back on the rifle or my heart pounding that scared the bear, and he took off. And so then we continued on a little bit more, and all of a sudden Jim motioned again to a place where he thought the bear was. So I went up there, and sure enough, here was the bear. He was at a base of a tree, and as soon as I raised the rifle up to aim, Jim came up to me and says, "Hey, wait a minute, let me take a few pictures." I said, "Forget it." So I pulled the hammer back on the rifle, and I aimed, and I shot. And the bear had started up the tree, and I shot, and the bear fell down from the tree. And I tried to get another shell in the chamber, but it was jammed. The rifle was jammed, and that's the reason that Dorothy only put one shell in there, because it would only shoot one shell at a time. And so we went down and checked on the bear, and luckily the bullet had gone into an eye socket, and then it kind of exploded into the brain, so he died right away. But I talked to people after that, and they said the last place you want to shoot a bear is in the head, because the skull is so thick, and that it'll probably just make them mad. So that was a lucky shot. So that's the bear story. Dorothy was very happy that we got the bear, because she was afraid it was going to chase away her business, the fishermen that would come in and buy her root beer. Here's to Dorothy. That's good beer.